Hello, my name is Grzegorz, and as you can see on this list of keywords, I have some experience. I was working for some companies on some products in different roles and technologies, and I was also running my own business. My presentation is related to the work I was doing for Atlassian in Jira team in particular. Okay. Where I was a developer and a team leader for 6 years, starting from Jira 6.1 until Jira 8.4. As you can see, my name is mentioned on credits, and I'm quite proud of it. I'm also in top 10 of Jira committers, and yeah, that's enough of my self-promotion. I'm not sure if you know, but it's worth to mention that Jira Software was not created by Atlassian. Actually, it was called Greenhopper in the past, and it was created by a marketplace plugin vendor called Pixis, which was acquired by Atlassian in 2009. Other important date is 2013, when Jira Software went through a major redesign and new features appeared in this product. Then we have 2016, when next-gen boards appeared in Jira Cloud. And finally, we have Jira Software 8.0, which is topic of my presentation. So Jira Software is a powerful tool. It's full of features and configuration dimensions. The most popular are, like here, KANBAN boards, SCRUM boards, backlogs, sprints, epics, versions, custom fields, reports. Other important feature are dev integrations. So this thing which allows you to see some information from tools like GitHub or Jenkins on your issue page. What else? With those features, you can create a workflow, like whatever you want to have. From technical point of view, Jira Software is a plugin to Jira. It's a solid piece of software. There is a Java on the backend, Apache Lucene for search, SPA implemented in a backbone style, but it's not using any modern framework. It was modernized over years. And what's most important out of it, it's a billion-dollar business with over 65,000 paying customers and millions of users who are like dealing with Jira every day in their work. At the same time, Jira is a source of frustration for anyone who is forced to use it at work by their employer. So Jira can be slow or even very slow, and we are speaking here about minutes for some actions like page load. And that's how our project started, the project of my team. A PM comes to a room with the idea of making agile boards fast. The 3 seconds was actually code name of the project and also the goal, so to make it happen. So my team started from very simple question, why agile boards are slow and what it means. Like research was done in 2 parallel streams. One of them is synthetic tests, where we dig into the code. We are using profilers. We generate random data sets. We run some performance tests. And the data analysis stream, where we look at real analytics data. We ask customers directly about details of problems they have with Jira. We look into support tickets so that we learn more about those real cases and maybe even try to incorporate them into our synthetic tests. So, obvious question. I think I missed some slides. Sorry. Anyway, obvious question, like, is it getting slower with number of issues? So on this chart, you can see that which is based on real analytics data. You can see that there is like clear connection between number of issues and the load time. And we are looking here at the ready for user metric. So ready for user is the it says how long it takes until the user will be able to do the work on the screen. So the same observation for SCRUM boards. They are also getting slower with number of issues. The same thing happened to backlog view. You also see the trend, the correlation. So how to fix problems in 3 months with just few people, because my team is quite small. Whenever we encountered a pattern, given this limited budget, we needed to prioritize the work and decide on how we should fix things and what should be done first. So whenever we encountered a problem, we could like optimize the code, like for example here, implement virtual scroll, or we could just ignore the problem because like it's a problem with third-party apps and like we don't want to do anything about this because it's a separate problem. Or we can change the user experience because maybe the current one is like not performance friendly at all. Like as an example, it's a pagination, something very simple. So as you can imagine, Jira is a complex software with many problems, many areas, many possible solutions. And there are like 2 guiding principles for projects like this. First of all, you need to create value for your customers, like it's most important thing, but then you need to ship it. So if you have some improvement on a branch and it's not released, it doesn't matter at all. So we prioritize our work using this simple methodology that we want low-hanging fruits first. Like this is low cost and it gives us most value. And then once we do that, we move towards more ambitious stuff. Like we will rather avoid projects like let's rewrite the thing from scratch because they are risky and rather not doable in 3 months with few people. So now I'll go through a list of 10 problems and solutions. Those, like, I will describe them in kind of low resolution because of time limit. So if you have questions, feel free to ask and interrupt me. So the solution for the problem mentioned before with large boards was not about implementing virtual scroll or progressive loading, which would be risky for many reasons. Instead, we have different user experience now. So for Kanban boards, we just hide old done issues. So whenever something is in the done column and it's older, by default older than 2 weeks, it just disappears. And for SCRUM backlog, the solution you can see here is that we just show 100 issues on the board, on the backlog, and hide the rest. Everything here is configurable, and you can even disable this behavior. But like those improvements from this were significant, and I will show you the numbers at the end of my presentation. Days in column feature. I'm not sure how many of you know about it, but those dots, they indicate for how long this issue was in this column. So the algorithm behind this is quite complex because you need to iterate over all transitions in the history for each issue. So if you have like 1,000 issues on your board, it will happen on each page load or each like reload. And then you need to aggregate this number. So like this problem was detected thanks to customer who did the work for us. As you can see, the profiler output, they like proven us that this is the problem and we should do something about it. So the solution was to just disable this feature because like no one was able to explain like why we have it in our product, like why. And like I'm alive. So, and like we couldn't like measure if anyone is actually using it because it's on the screen. Like, so we just disabled it, and obviously you can bring it back and keep using it. For now, we didn't hear about like feedback about this, and we don't see like evidence in analytics that this is actually something needed by anyone. Board picker feature. This thing allows you to switch between boards in the same project. So you can have KANBAN board for some current issues, and you have a SCRUM board for long-term stuff. And from one of our customers, like large telecom company, we know that this single thing cost like page load for them is on average 3 seconds. And because of this thing, like they measured that this thing is taking like 1.5 seconds, like just because it's here. So the algorithm behind this is not that complicated because you just need to iterate over all boards on the instance, and it can be like thousands of boards because that's how it works with Jira. And then you need to parse the underlying JQL filter. Then you need to check if this filter allows the current user to access this board, and then you can output this. So it cannot be cached at all. It's not possible. So the solution here was to just lazy load that after click. And like we have evidence now that after deployment of this change, this large telecom company, like they noticed improvement from 3 seconds to around 1 second, and it like affected entire instance, like this simple feature. JQL-based colors is actually a cool feature because it allows you to display this border on left using filters. So you can say that all issues which are assigned to you can be red, and everything that is old can be black. So unfortunately, the underlying computation is quite heavyweight because it depends on the user, so it also cannot be cached. And it can be obviously like this is a simple query. Like current status is not empty, voter is current user, but like users, customers are very creative here, and they create very crazy shit, and a lot of it. So it's a performance challenge. And so at the same time, there is this observation that you don't really need this color to do your work. Like you can open the board and probably see the current sprint status, or transition the issue from to do to in progress, and it can be loaded later. So we are actually, as you can see on this animation, we are loading it now lazily, and also using intersection observer, we are loading colors only for those issues which are actually in the viewport. So it's like a huge gain. The next thing, like going a bit like low level now, just using profiler in Chrome on a board with large number of issues revealed major performance bottleneck, forced reflows during JavaScript execution. That could take seconds on a MacBook Pro. So various features are triggering this behavior because they want to adjust their content, position, or dimension. So and like this is like a almost full profile, and as you can see, there are at least 8 of them who are doing it, during the page load. So an example of such feature is this project key truncation. So the card is like the dimension of cards are changing, and sometimes the project key is like too long, and we want to fit it into the card. So in order to do that, in the old implementation, we render the board like first, then we get dimensions of single card, then we calculate the approximate dimension of single character, and then we render each card with truncated project key. So now, instead of all this magic, we are just using CSS with text overflow and flex shrinking. And like as a bonus, now you can also copy this issue key because previously you would copy these 3 dots. Now you will get full issue key. another dimension in our data revealed yet another problem, epics and version panel. They were affecting the performance. The problem was also visible in Profiler. A lot of time spent on JavaScript execution, forced reflows, and other stuff. But like the analytics data is most useful here because we see that like more epics, slower board. Like it's quite simple, and then it's confirmed by synthetic tests. So the problem is quite complex because first of all it takes a while to like gather all this data, count those numbers. There are also some bonus features like links to Confluence pages. And other problem is that the underlying DOM structure is quite complex. So yeah, sounds simple, but the solution was to lazy load it. And also, like on this screen, you see that they are collapsed. Before, like for 8 years of Jira Software, actually 10 years, still this would be rendered. Like first of all, we would execute the code on the backend, and we will also render that and then hide it. So something like this was in the billion-dollar product for years. Now we are just lazy loading that. So sounds quite simple, but like huge impact as well. Yeah, this is the animation of lazy loading. Like nothing special, but like huge impact on the product and like millions of users. Resources, the bundle size mentioned on previous presentation. This was the elephant in the room because like everyone knows that animation start. Everyone knows that there are megabytes of JavaScript and CSS resources on this page. Like, but over the years, no one bothered to do anything about it. So we were downloading megabytes of JavaScript, CSS code, and on some environments it would take seconds. So we wanted maybe not to fix this problem because still we need to load something in order to show the feature, but at least try to get some seconds out of it. So using code instrumentation, we were able to generate a list of JavaScript and CSS files which are loaded on the page, but really are not participating in anything. So neither in page load or any like interaction, even like later interaction. So as you can see, like out of 900 files, we removed half of them. And thanks to code instrumentation, like code instrumentation is a topic for separate talk, but thanks to that, we could just safely remove them because we knew that no single line from this file is being executed during the interaction. Or we could dynamically load something on some actual interaction, like click on some button or something. The next topic is the main request for board data. So contents of SCRUM and KANBAN boards and backlogs are provided by single REST endpoint, which will give everything that is needed for rendering, like issues, epics, versions, everything, including details like avatars or labels. And there are two problems with this request. First of all, it may grow in terms of size, and on some internet connections, it will take a lot of time to download. I will cover that in the following example. But the problem which I want to highlight now is the moment when it is being executed. So as you can see, we started the page load here, and we are downloading something. There is also some JavaScript execution happening here, like we need to initialize the application, do something. Then there are some additional requests. And then after 10 seconds, we ask for the board data. So the solution to this problem came from Trello team, which is part of Atlassian since 2017. They called it QUICKLOAD. And the idea is very simple. Don't even try to read that, but we just want to fire this request from an inline script, which is located somewhere at the beginning of head section. And later, once the application is loaded and initialized, we will just make use of the of the data. And as a like result, it also makes sense to start the computation like on the moment when user clicks a link or uses a bookmark or just will open the browser. So it makes sense to start it here, not here. And as you can see, it's actually happening now that the data JSON is being requested at the very first moment of page load. Unfortunately, browsers still would prioritize some requests, and especially style sheets have the priority. There is a way to hack around this problem, like flush the first bytes of the document of the head section and force the browser to do the request. But it's like an unreliable solution, and we are happy with the current one. Now the size of the board data. This is also a kind of elephant in the room if you look at it. Like this is the epic field. So what we have here is the epic name, epic description, color, and something else. And like this is being repeated on every issue on the board. So, and this is just epic. The same thing was happening for statuses, for user avatars, for many other entities. And the solution here was to basically normalize this data by just, so in the issue object we have a epic ID, we have a thing like status ID, project ID. There is also something about user, and then in like a separate object store the dictionary of ID and the details. And like on our synthetic dataset, which was generated randomly, like this, let's say, simple change reduced the size by 50%, which is like a lot. I know this is a JavaScript meetup, but why not a backend problem? So every board in Jira has an underlying jQuery query. So it means that you can select a subset of issues which will appear on your board. And customers can be very creative when it comes to complexity of those queries, as you may guess. This is also a performance challenge. But what's worse, there is also a hidden part of this search. Like you see this as a user, but what's happening actually, we are adding a subquery, which is called permission query, to the main one. And it's generated from all projects which are on your instance, actually. And for each project, you can also define something which is called permission scheme, where you can say that users can see only those issues which they created. I think it's mostly useful for like IT service desk projects. So this subquery can grow to like thousands of conditions, and it's a huge problem. And for boards, we were able to do some observation. Like usually, you want to have a board and you have a project. So usually, this query looks like this. And the idea was that we can basically remove the rest from the permission query. And because of that, we don't spend time to generate those conditions. We also have faster search. Like this sounds simple, but still, this suboptimal implementation was in this billion-dollar product for 10 years. As you can see on this chart, which was generated using synthetic tests, we were running searches and we were adding projects. And as you can see, the red dots represent, let's start from orange dots. They represent the old implementations. So basically, search time is going up as we are adding new projects. And the new implementation is mostly horizontal. It goes slightly up because we are also adding new issues together with projects. So like this growth is expected. But still, it's a huge difference. Now, there are other improvements in Jira 8.0, like platform upgrade, where we upgrade many components, including backend and front-end stuff, and removed some code depth. There were also some minor optimizations targeted at large customers. And like what's what's maybe significant is new version of Lucene, the underlying search engine. And as you can see on this screenshot, like the number of tickets closed between Jira Lucene 3.3 and 7.4, it's 700. So like it's a lot of value which you can get from keeping up your dependencies, like keeping your dependencies up to date. Now, this is a video from Atlassian Summit. A guy from business is showcasing our outcomes of our improvements. There is even a joke about coffee break being synchronized with the board load time. So before the meeting, people like click the button and go for coffee. I believe it's true. And at the end, he will present some kind of synthetic tests on a large data set. When the load time went down from 9 seconds to 3 seconds, which is what we wanted. I just want to show this animation because it's cool. Just one moment. I can say a joke. No, better not. 1 moment. I had a version with sound, but it was bad quality. So, so 3 seconds, 9 seconds. Now, before, fast, slow. Buy new Jira. That's the message. Anyway, those are real synthetic test results. Obviously most of it went down and we are happy about it and all, but what may raise questions here are those large numbers. Like why would anyone want to have 10,000 issues in a backlog? Like it's not a backlog anymore. It doesn't matter what's the answer, but the most important thing here is the end user computer. So 1,000 issues will work fine on a latest MacBook Pro, but on a low end machine, it's actually this type of performance. So it makes sense to put some pressure on your development machine when you are testing something. Yeah. So question about obvious question maybe about analytics data, do we see any difference? So the correlation between number of issues and performance basically disappeared, which is what we wanted. The customer feedback, we heard something. There is some feedback, but it's not as dramatic as the synthetic test results. There are many problems with Jira in general, but yeah, we didn't expect that everything will load now below 3 seconds. That would be unrealistic. So that's all from me. If you have questions, please ask.
Wow. I'm really disappointed I didn't get to use my gong. No, it's for me, that's all I can do is just keep gonging. I have nothing else to do.
You can still use it.
Can I still?
Yeah, please.
Okay, thank you, thank you. Questions?
How do you map the user experience to the mobile applications? Because I imagine when implementing the new features, let's say improvements to the web, you've also maybe got inspired by the mobile client, or the other way around, the mobile client also implemented the new parts from the web? So luckily, Jira Mobile is a separate code base, separate team, separate knowledge. It's not connected at all. The only connection are REST endpoints, but currently, I think Jira Mobile does not support Agile boards. Please correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah, anyway, there was no real connection. There is no shared code base at all.
Questions? Any other questions? Okay, let's go this way. Here you go, sir.
Which part of this, what you told, was the biggest challenge to improve, to optimize?
So I think the biggest challenge was this one moment. This one was the challenge. You need to do it in 3 months. And with few people, this was the challenge to do this project on time manage the people going on vacations, people getting sick. This was the problem, really, the biggest one. The technical stuff, if you look at all of that, it's lazy load, disable, normalize something, remove some stupid code, maybe even it was mine code. So yeah, the technical stuff was quite simple, I would say. The project management stuff, this is the challenge.
Biggest challenge, yes?
Yeah, always.
Someone else had it.
Okay, you mentioned that Jira doesn't use modern web framework like React under the hood. My question wouldn't be specifically about React, but generally, do you think using any front-end library that would use, I don't know, virtual DOM or something like this would improve the render performance in your case, dramatically, or,
Yeah, it definitely would, but unfortunately, there are some constraints. We have third-party apps. We need to find a way to support them with React. It's not obvious. I wouldn't say that it's not possible, but it's not easy. And what's interesting, in Jira Cloud, there is actually a React single-page application, and the interactions are quite nice, smooth, and quick. But there is other challenge, there is a 40 megabytes bundle, which takes a while to load, and it's not easy to fix it now. So yes, someone did that, and someone kind of failed. So it happens.
More questions, anybody? Really? You have another one?
Yeah.
Thank goodness. You guys are really quick.
Please tell me if you use Jira for Jira development.
I do use Jira.
Thank you.
But it's very, very simple. I don't configure a lot, so it's a simple tool for me. Just comments and that's it.
That was great. That was great. I think that was a brilliant question, right? I mean, come on.
Eat your own dog food.
You didn't expect that, did you? Anybody else? Any more questions for Mr. Tańczyk? Okay. Thank you very, very much. Excellent presentation.
Thanks.